Have you ever really looked at a $100 bill? I mean, really looked at it. At the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper, right? It's made of cotton and linen, got some fancy ink on it, and it cost about 15 cents to make. So how in the world does that little piece of paper become worth $100? What is that magic trick? All right, let's get into it.
So yeah, this is the big question we're going to unpack. How can something that has almost zero built-in value be traded for things we absolutely need, like, food, gas for the car, or a roof over our heads? The answer, well, it's a really powerful idea that props up just about every currency on the planet today.
The answer has a fancy name, fiat money. And nope, it's got nothing to do with the car company. The word fiat is actually Latin, and it means let it be done. It's an order, a decree. Basically, fiat money is valuable because the government says it is. But to really get your head around how we ended up with a system based purely on a declaration, we got to go back, way back.
Look, the cash in your pocket didn't just pop into existence. It's actually the latest solution to a problem that's thousands of years old. How do we trade with each other in a fair and easy way? Every type of money we've ever had was just an attempt to fix the problems of the one that came before it.
This whole story is just a fascinating evolution of ideas. I mean, think about it. We went from directly trading chickens for wheat to using things like shells that everyone just kind of agreed were valuable, then to shiny rare metals, and finally to a simple piece of paper that was just a stand-in for that metal. Each one of those steps was a huge breakthrough.
In the very beginning, all we had was barter. If you had chickens and your neighbor had wheat and you both wanted what the other had, great, perfect trade. But what if your neighbor doesn't want your chickens? You're stuck. This is called the double coincidence of wants. It's a mouthful, but it just means you have to find someone who has exactly what you want and wants exactly what you have. It is super, super inefficient.
So the first big fix was commodity money, stuff that pretty much everyone found useful, like salt or cowrie shells. This was definitely better than bartering, but it came with its own set of headaches. I mean, can you imagine trying to buy a house with a truckload of seashells? Not going to happen. Plus, if you lived by the beach, you could basically just print your own money, which made everyone else's shells worth less. Hello, inflation.
So clearly, we needed something better. And the next huge leap forward came around 600 BC when the kingdom of Lydia, in modern-day Turkey, started making coins out of gold and silver. Unlike shells, metal was tough, you could easily divide it, and this is the big one, it was rare. That scarcity gave it a much more stable and predictable value.
But even gold has a drawback. It is heavy. Dragging around bags of gold coins is a pain, and it's pretty risky. So an even better idea came along, the gold standard. You could take your gold to a bank, leave it in their vault, and they'd give you a paper certificate for it. That piece of paper was a direct promise, a claim on your gold, which made it just as valuable but way, way easier to carry around. This was the birth of paper money as a promise. And for centuries, that promise actually held up. The value of the paper in your hand was tied directly to a real pile of gold in a vault somewhere. But in the 20th century, a couple of world wars and massive economic pressure would come along and just shatter that golden anchor for good. The world wars changed literally everything. To pay for the enormous costs of war, governments just fired up the printing presses. They created way more money than they actually had gold to back it up. And when the amount of money goes way up, but the pile of gold stays the same, each dollar or pound or franc becomes worth less and less. Prices go through the roof. That's inflation right there. Okay, so to try and restore some order after all the chaos of World War II, the world's leaders got together at a place called Bretton Woods. They came up with a new plan. Every other major currency would be pegged to the US dollar, and the dollar would be the one currency still pegged to gold. Now, why the dollar? Simple. At the end of the war, the US held most of the world's gold. It was the last, strongest link in the chain. This Bretton Woods system, it actually brought stability for about 25 years. But it was all built on a promise that eventually the US just couldn't keep anymore. And the entire global financial system was about to change, forever, in a single moment. And then it happened. On August 15th, 1971, President Nixon went on TV and announced to the world that the US was closing the gold window. That meant other countries could no longer show up and trade their US dollars for American gold. With the huge costs of the Vietnam War and spending at home, there just wasn't enough gold left to back all the dollars floating around the world. In one speech, the gold standard was dead. And this, right here, just shows you the night and day difference.
Before 1971, a dollar was literally a claim check for a tiny piece of gold. After 1971, it was a claim check for, well, for nothing physical at all. Its value was now backed only by the full faith and credit of the US government, basically a promise to keep it stable. And just like that, the entire world entered the age of pure fiat money.
So if it's not gold anymore, what is it? What's actually giving this piece of paper its power? This question gets us right to the very heart of how all modern money actually works.
Let's go back to that word fiat. Remember, it means let it be so. You can almost picture a king pointing at a piece of paper and declaring, "Let this be money." The government says this paper is legal tender, and because that same government has the power to make laws and, crucially, collect taxes from you in that currency, we all just go along with it. The government's authority is what makes it real for all of us.
So here it is. This is the most important point. The secret ingredient that turns worthless paper into money isn't gold. It's trust, pure and simple. We accept a dollar or a euro or a yen because we have this collective belief, this shared faith that the government and the central bank behind it will manage things well enough that our money will still be able to buy stuff tomorrow. Its value is basically a shared social agreement.
And you might be wondering, what happens when that trust just evaporates? Well, this slide says it all. In places like Zimbabwe and Venezuela, when people completely lost faith in their government's ability to manage the currency, it completely collapsed. They printed so much money that it led to hyperinflation, and the paper in people's hands became literally worthless. It's a really powerful reminder of just how fragile this whole system of trust really is. And this gets to the fundamental trade-off of the whole fiat system. On the one hand, the big advantage is flexibility. A central bank can adjust the money supply to help fight a recession or a crisis. But on the other hand, that exact same power carries enormous risk. The temptation to just print more money is always there, and the entire thing rests on that very delicate foundation of public confidence.
You know, the entire history of money is a story of evolution, from barter to shells to gold to fiat. It makes you stop and wonder, is this really the end of the line? Or is another chapter just about to start?
The challenger that everyone talks about, of course, is cryptocurrency. And what's so interesting when you look at this comparison is how they are total opposites. Fiat money is centralized and controlled by governments, its supply is basically unlimited, and its value is based on trust in people. Crypto is decentralized with no single boss. Its supply is often limited by a mathematical rule, and its value is based on trust in code and technology. But for right now, crypto has one giant hurdle to overcome if it wants to be our everyday money. It is wildly volatile. The price of your coffee shouldn't double or get cut in half, and the time it takes you to order it versus when you pay for it. That kind of instability makes it act more like a speculative asset, like a digital stock, than a stable currency. And that brings us right back around to where we started. From the clumsiness of barter to the fragility of trust, every form of money we've ever had was an invention, designed to solve the problems of the day. So the real question to leave you with isn't just about why your money has value today, but what problem the money of tomorrow will need to solve.